Oh my goodness. How's it going, everybody? There was a intro jam that I kind of made up on the fly as I was working on the intro. So yeah, the intro song I made up right on the fly, but made a progression, of course, no lesson, no doubt. And wanted to thank y'all for joining today. Today we're talking about bass lines and move, and how do we write bass lines in move that sound groovy, pretty similar to the one that I did here. So the whole bass line theme again comes back to us writing out our key signature and having everything written out. So we're going to talk about writing that out today, and we're going to take a deep dive into maybe ways that I write better bass lines that make my music sound way more connected and make the music sound like it's really driving and connected to the energy and what's going on. So like I said, without further ado, we're going to talk about writing bass lines today. And yeah, let's see how that kind of unfolds. So first thing we do is what? We pick a key that we want to play in. And I'm going to pick a key that I haven't played in on stream or much. And I'm going to pick A major. So today we're going to pick A. And if we were looking at our circle of fifths, we would write it out with like the number of sharps that I have here, 3, and that's A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and that is A major is what we're looking at. And yes, I do write it out. And this is going to give us an insight into how to write the bass line on the device and to get the music moving pretty fast. So genre today, I'm going to pick, because I'm kind of out of my mind always, I'm going to pick drum and bass. So we're going to look at 160 beats per minute. So I'm going to pick D and B. So I picked 160 BPM. And the idea here is, well, how are we going to write a good bass line for drum and bass? All right, and so quickly, I'm going to pick a drum set that maybe has a little less carry, like travel, let's call it, right? And so when I get ready to do this, I try to suppress the beat a little bit, meaning not make it so dense on the ear, right? And I'll show you how to do that. I lower the snare a little bit, and then when I make a hi-hat, I actually pitch it up a little, and again, I kind of get rid of the volume a little bit so we can kind of hear what's going on, right? Because we're going to hear this a lot, right? All right, so pick the drum beat, because you're picking the genre of music that you're going to pick, right? And let's say that you get like, get your toms ready. And this one carries pretty hard, so we're going to shorten the decay. There we go. All right, so here we go. Oh, I was recording there. That was bad. All right, so there we go. Okay, we got it going. So now, yep, there we go. Duplicate it. All right, so fourth bar, I add a little bit of variation. Right? Okay, so music's going. Lower that one. All right, now we're thinking bass line, right? So immediately we got to kind of pick what we're going to play either to or over. So we're going to pick the key signature, and we're going to start picking. The whole idea is like, well, what are we going to do? You know, what are we really going to make happen in this song? And the idea that we keep it really simple is the main thing I think about with bass lines. I always try to think like, I don't want my bass to be too complicated or too moving around, especially when I'm playing electronic music. And when I'm going to make a keyboard line as well, I try to think I don't want it so, you know, active right now, because we're just kind of writing. So when I write, if I had a piano, let's say, right, and we're going to pick, I'm going to lo-fi it a little bit, because I don't like that clean, I don't like, so I reduce it. Right. And you can lessen the dry wet, so it's not so intense, right? I got like a 4-bit sample, right? And then I'll add a little bit of reverb. All right, and so now we got our sound. And now we're gonna pick something to go with this, right? All right, I'm gonna make this easy because I wanna teach us this whole bass line thing. So if we're in A, and if I do just like a 2-1, that's what that was. I got a major and a minor chord. I can stretch it as long as I want across the beat. So let's see what starts happening here. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. All right, and the idea would be like, all right, so we get ready. Fix one of the bars. That one right there. Right, and right. Okay, so now typically with a bass line, even if I knew it was 2-1, I would still want to practice. All right, I like that one. I would still want to practice and have everything kind of be set up. And what we're going to work on now is that kind of setup. Right, so when I'm playing it, I'm thinking a lot about that, right? They're just 2 notes. But if I do a third, it's a little different than if I played behind the notes, and I'm going to go down an octave, and what I mean is, see that? So behind the note, and then when I hit C, the A, I'm going to shift, so I have the note behind it. See how behind the note sounds one way, leading a note ahead of it sounds different too. It's a different feeling and a different emotion. So I tell everybody, when you're writing a bass line, maybe the idea is to play it out how you're feeling the song. There are triads you can play along as well. So a triad would be if I was going, and the triad is the 3 notes that are in the chord, the 2 and the 1 chord. So that's what I was mimicking there. So let's take a listen to what we're going to do and see how this turns out. So here we go. I'm going to turn on the metronome. So that mimics the chords pretty well, right? Now, if in the chord I played like a 4th or I did something a little different, and that means instead of playing just that, what if I did that? That's a 4th. Instead of always doing this, that might have changed what I did within the bass line. But for right now, I'm going to go back to the bass line. I'm going to play the notes very, very simply, and we're going to just lay it out so it's like the most simple way I can do it. Ready? Right, and then the idea here is I'm going to quantize it 50%, and then I'm going to start playing with the filter. So, and I might add just a little bit of delay. I know there's like saturation on it, but I like it bouncing a little bit, not too much. Make sure it's not too wet. All right, let's see what happens now. See the automation I just did, right? And you can hear it. So sometimes, especially in drum and bass, more of like a liquid bass feel is what I would call, or a movement bass is what we're listening to now. So let's... And notice when I did that break that the bass still kept like the meat of the song. I don't know if that's like stranger to think about or the way that you would think about it, but the idea that a bass line usually has to keep the retention of a rhythm and the retention of the melody. So I would say thinking along those lines is where you get a lot of success in writing a bass line that on move seems to keep the rhythm, keep the beat, and allow you to play chords over top of it, right? So again, if I was going to write another part to this that's maybe like a break, that's a cut in like a halftime cut, let's like say, you know, I can even just go in, say we wanted to cut the break in half, right? And that's because I feel like showing you all a different way of doing this. So a really common one's like a 2-6-5-1 is like a very common, and a 2-6-5-1 is like really in pop music a lot, right? So to explore that, like 2 up 2 6 5 1, right? So let's see if I could pull that off. Oh my God, here we go. 2 6 5 1. All right, so there's a 2-6-5-1. Like I said, this is very common, right? So let's listen to 6 5 1. So that is a 2-6-5-1, right? Two. So we'll listen again, and I'm going to record this time the lead. So 2-6-5-1. Here's the progression. So I mean, this is even like cheesier, but like the idea that that bass line is literally holding that groove again, because it's just holding like a 2-6-5-1, you know, pattern. So bass lines were the key today. I wanted to keep it super simple, and I wanted to talk about how most bass lines just follow the chord progression very simply. The idea that you want to do automation on most of your bass lines, because a little bit of movement will add to the simplicity, but also make it sound a little more complicated, but not ruin what you're playing over top of. Okay, so that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Bass lines for me have been really fun because I do them on modular synths, or I do them on like Digitone, or I do them on like an OP1 that has like really good engines to write bass lines on. But on the move, when you're making a bass line, and I'm going to go to a brand new set, the idea that there are plenty of places to begin. And that would mean I'm going to cover just like one or two of the templates that are inside of here. The first one being analog drift. which has a great sound. Filter. The drift, I think it's like a movement inside of it. And you can pick, so we're looking sine, and it's mixed right now with a second sine. Let me just check the volume of the, okay. So right now we're just listening to the one oscillator and drift, which is a sine, and it's polyphony, you know, so you got multiple notes, which is really nice. And this is like, if you're writing like just real gentle bass line. Triangle has, again, very subtle harmonics that aren't there. And then we go to Sawtooth. There's more, right? I don't know, Shark Tooth is what the first one was. That's not very harmonic either. The Saw, real nice. And of course me, I'm big into delay. I know some people don't like it as much, but I mean, listen how nice that would sound as a bass, right? So that's drift, right? So that's like a preset that they have in there. And then let's say I get this bass sound that I'm making is just a saw and I want to save it. If you go to the main of the three and then you push the button and you hold the shift button, I'm going to save this now as a preset. So you just save preset, yes. So now I just save that as my first preset because I just cleaned my move out because I had a lot of stuff on it. And that's awesome because the saw wave, just like the most basic saw, I made my first preset. Now, for a bass, that's cool. The other one you might want to use is a square, you know? And that's what they call it, pulse. Rectangle. So pulse would be the smaller one, rectangle, like the full square. Look how nice that sounds, right? Chip tunes. But for a bass line, that is another great place to start. Now I really like that, but I want to change some of the settings so it doesn't sound exactly the same. So I'm going to put a phaser on this one. There we go. I'm going to save this one. So again, button on the full thing, shift, button, save preset. So we're writing a couple bass sounds, really easy from the templates, right, from what Ableton gives us. And then when I push down again, if I go back, and I'm going to say templates, and I'm going to go, last time we were on drift, there's analog filter, really nice sounding synth, especially in the bass register. There's analog filter 2, and analog mono was the next one I'm going to talk about, because I like that it has the glide, and kind of for like walking bass lines and stuff like that. And then this one's filtered down a little bit, so it does more sound like an upright bass, right? And I kind of like that sound, you know. I'll use an upright bass a lot because around a drum kit, it's kind of nice, right? Like we're picking a whole brand new thing real quick because, again, talking about bass lines. This one's going to be 115, and I'm going to write as fast as I can so everybody can kind of watch and say, okay, I learned something, right? So we're working on like this beat, and it's definitely not the best beat I've ever written, but I'm going to go back and pick one more hi-hat. Where are we? Loops, effects, drums, no? Sure, okay. So I'm just trying to find like a quick, short sound to use. Wow, that's pretty long. Thought it would be a lot. Oh, I can do this stuff with it. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so see how nice that. No harmonics on a bass usually is really great. Now we're still in A. I'm just playing the one. Okay, so most techno too, if we were writing a bass line, is going to be just one note, right? And the idea that now, so I'm just going to play embellished versions of the one chord. So that's like a one, that's a four chord, like a one, like a suspended fourth, suspended second, back to the one. Okay, so that's how we're going to play this. 5, 4, 3, 2. So real simple. I'm going to play with my filter automation. 5, 4, 3, 2. Real easy, super simple. I'm just going to make my own lead because we already made sense, right? So, you know, the bass line there was super easy because I played the same note over and over again. All right, so there were a couple ideas. The idea here today was bass lines on move. My opinion was to keep them super simple. We played in the key of A. I tried to show you all a couple ideas based on the way things sound and that whole idea that, yes, working on bass lines should be very easy. The key is picking the way that you're going to start playing. This last one, I just played the same note over and over again, which was a one chord, and the chords were embellishments. So when I did real nice chords, right? So it turned out real. Literally the same note, you know. So for a lot of times for techno, you know, you keep it as simple as you can. There I did like a variation, you know, you can make variations as well, but I would always suggest keeping it as simple as possible. So yeah, hey, I appreciate everybody checking it out and joining today and taking a look at making bass lines on the move. And from there, if there are any questions or you need any help making better bass lines, or you got some ideas that you want to throw off of me, you can always give me an email or drop me a line. And the whole idea that, yeah, based on the move, right now, I like a lot of what's going on. As far as like the integration with live, I think that's maybe something else we're going to talk about. We got the new M4 set up in the studio, so I was going to show people the performance of the M4 next and controlling Ableton with Move. So we're going to do some stuff with like control mode next. And then the whole idea that when you're writing bass lines, keep them as simple as possible. Please write out your chords and your progressions, use your circle of fifths. And yeah, hey, thank you everyone for joining today and checking everything out. Enjoy the rest of the day and take care.